he leaves there, he takes that model from Memphis and takes it down to Pine Bluff. So then he helps build Pine Bluff. They invite Booker T. Washington there. So Booker T. Washington said, well, you know, this is the Negro's paradise. So when that got put in all the black papers, it started to recruit black people to move to Pine Bluff. So O.W. Gurley was born in Huntsville, Alabama. He moved to Pine Bluff because of that. So when he got to Pine Bluff, he's watching the way they're building. So then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to take this model. And during the land run, he came here to Oklahoma. So he got here in 1889 originally. So he started in Perry, Oklahoma first, where he's a school teacher, had a convenience store, and then he moved here, bought the first 40 acres of land here. So this side of that highway is Creek Nation. Other side is Cherokee Nation. So his family were Creek freedmen, so he was able to buy 40 acres of land from here. So one of the things that most people don't know when it comes to Greenwood, Oklahoma was almost an all-black state, well, black and Native American. So the original name of Oklahoma was the state of Sequoia. So before the land run, you really didn't have tons of white folks here. It was mainly Native Americans and blacks. Now the 5 civilized tribes all came here during the Trail of Tears, but 4 of the 5 civilized tribes enslaved black people. So when they got here, those black people had already came here with them. And then during the time of slavery, a lot of black people came into Oklahoma. So the story is, you know, the Underground Railroad goes north, which it did, but a lot of black people came west of Mississippi back then, because this is where all the tribes that were rivals of the U.S., they all lived here. So if you were here, white folks couldn't come take you out of Oklahoma. So this is Apache land, you got Navajo, Blackfoot, Crow, they wasn't just giving black people back. So you already had free black settlements in Oklahoma. That's how we got so many black towns, because all of them were already outside of Native American reservations. So the only ones that did not enslave black people is the Seminole. So the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Creek, and the Choctaw all had slaves. So when they get here, you know what I'm saying? In the middle of the hood. We don't got Choctaw. We got Seminole.
So what was the treatment of the slaves?
So it was better conditions than white slavery, but still not really good. But like, you didn't have like rape, mutilation, all that stuff wasn't really taking place with those tribes. Mainly, you were an indentured servant, and then you could earn your freedom after the 7 to 10 years. And then once you earned your freedom, you had to become a freedman, which is different than the tribal unit. So a freedman can't live on a reservation. That's why there were so many black towns. So like, for instance, if Steph is Creek, once he gained his freedom, he got to move off the reservation. So now he starts a town right outside the reservation, because all his family still live on the reservation. So that's why if you go to the black towns, you'll find native reservations not too far away. So 1905.
They still got native reservations?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the reds look just like the hood. Like it literally looks exactly the same. So you meet most natives, like cool native people around here, they act like black folks, because it's like we all grew up. Like they hoop, they play football, like they do everything we do. You know what I'm saying? So it's very similar, but it's because these two cultures were together. And during that Trail of Tears, when they all walked here, like the U.S. government tried to kill both groups. So when they moved them here, the government gave them blankets and coats. They infected those blankets and coats with smallpox. Right. Now this is after they signed a peaceful treaty agreeing not to fight the U.S. So the reason they're called the 5 civilized tribes is because they adopted Christianity, they adopted English, and they agreed to give up their nomadic lifestyle and move into cities and towns. So that's why those are considered civilized. It's really more of a shot at the ones who didn't do it. So like Navajo, Apache, Osage, those aren't civilized tribes. Those are uncivilized. Only these 5 are civilized people.
They say gangster.
Yeah. So to this day. Really? So yeah, like the Osage them don't follow the same rules as 5 civilized tribes.
And they're still out here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can pull it over.
Yeah.
Osage, just 10 minutes north, right here. Yeah, I live in Osage. Yeah. That's not Osage.
Yeah. That's all Indians are.
Well,
they're not. They in Scotland.
Yeah. You got some. But like, so that's why the reason I start there is because the way Greenwood was burned and the way Greenwood got taken is through that. Yeah. So Tate Brady, I'll show you the image. So Tate Brady is the founder of Tulsa. Even our museum, it says that he was known to have plans to free him. but this document say that he was the chairman of the Klan in 1980. So he didn't just have Klansmen friends. Like he was the big dog.
Yeah, but they change stories.
So this is the last time he was listed as a Klansman. In 1919, he became a Cherokee. So back then, Native women couldn't own land unless they were married. So all these Klansmen understood that if they could just get rid of the men, the woman has to marry them and she gonna lose all their property. Yeah. So he married a Cherokee woman.
They did the same thing to black folks. They did the same thing to their own women.
Yeah, they did it to their own too.
They couldn't buy. I don't think that woman could buy a house without being married all the way up to like the 60s.
But the difference is here, if you had land in Oklahoma, it was like the lottery.
Yeah.
Because his land might got oil on it.
Exactly.
And so what would happen is Tate Brady couldn't be a Klansman on paper anymore because he was a Cherokee. So he went all the way to the Supreme Court to fight for Native American rights, benefits, and sovereignty because he's now a Cherokee. So that sovereignty here in Oklahoma meant that state and city can't prosecute him for anything that he does. Only the federal government or the tribe can prosecute him. That's still to this day.
Right.
Only the tribe and the federal government can prosecute a Native American person if you're a part of the 5 civilized tribes and you have a card. Like it's a CDIB card, which is Certificate of Degree of Indian Blood. So if you have that card and, like, let's say Steph commit a murder, only the tribe can prosecute him. If it wasn't federal murder, like he ain't violating no civil rights, if the tribe say they not prosecuting him, he get to go home. City and state can't do nothing to him.
I give him paperwork.
So that's why a lot of them wanted to become tribal members. But then also back then, only tribal members could sell land. So the original sale of the first 40 acres came directly from the Creeks. O.W. Gurley couldn't have bought it from anybody other than the Creeks. So that's why he became Cherokee, because Cherokee Nation is all mainly downtown. Like the most desirable area for white folks back then was all Cherokee Nation. So that's why they all become that way. Now, there's also people on here that if you go over towards that, we have a park called Owen Park. Judge Robert Owen is the judge who denied all the insurance claims during the massacre. So we have a park named after him. The mayor is listed on here. Mayor Hubbard, he got out of office right before the massacre took place. Charles Page got a whole district on the west side. Now, Charles Page didn't participate in the murder, but he had an orphanage where he would predominantly adopt black and Native American kids because they all had land allotments. So if he can adopt them before they turn 18, all their land go to him. Yeah. So Sand Spring and almost all the West Coast is built on it's where the train goes. Yep. So, you know, we had a school named after Lee Clinton. The airport on the south side is R.L. Jones Airport. Richard Lloyd Jones was a Klansman. The construction that happened around here is Crossland Construction. Ed Crossland, their descendants are now the ones building these buildings around here. So, and then McCullough was the sheriff at the time of the massacre. So these are all names that, like I said, August 6, 1918 is when all of these people were Klansmen. The next year, they all became tribal. So they were able to do things here in Oklahoma that was a little different. Now, the Osage were different. The Osage watched how the Cherokees and the Choctaws were losing the land. So the Osage changed their law to say that land couldn't be sold. Even if you were Osage, you couldn't sell property. So those are some of the wealthiest people in the world back then because they had the most oil. So that's where the Killers of the Flower Moon movie comes from, right? So what they did was they made it to where the land could only be inherited so that white folks couldn't get it.
Right. So
then the federal government passed a different law saying, well, Native American people, specifically the Osage, they're not smart enough to control their own money. So they have to hire a white guardian to look after their money. Now, when that white guardian comes, he can charge you whatever he wants. So if he say, man, I want 50%, you either got to pay him the 50% or you don't get to touch your money. Because the federal government said you ain't smart enough to control your own money. So a guy named William Hale, who was best friends with Tate Brady, he convinced his nephew, he said, I want you to marry this woman, and then we're going to kill off all her family around her, so all their land go to her, and then we're going to kill her. That's Killers of the Flower Moon. So that's 20 minutes north of here.
That won.
Yeah, it won some awards.
It won some awards.
They always win awards at the plight of other people.
Yeah, but that story is exactly how and that's happening at the same time. You know?
Right,
so
right.
the Osage murders are happening in early 1921. So the reason it's like that, Oklahoma has 79 documented racial terror lynchings here. So the Klan didn't typically document how many times they did it, but it's been documented that at least 79 taking place in Oklahoma. So that's where you get images like these. You go inside the museums, they don't have them. So the challenge would be to think about how come images like these don't end up in our museums. So the story gets told, but the imagery is different. So these things were turned into posters. Yeah.
And then this is where the car was, right here, huh?
Yep. And so that picture over there on the wall that says Black Wall Street Forever, that picture is 1936, and it was taken from right where you're standing now.
But it was
15 years after the massacre. That's what this block looked like. So the Gap Band is from here.
Right.
This is where they get their name from.
Yeah, I didn't know that until Steph was telling me.
So they used to perform right there on the corner of Greenwood and Archer. The reason they call it the Gap is because if you're on that side, you're on Greenwood. And you're in between Archer and Pine. So the elders would all say, "Well, go down to the Gap." So that meant you could be anywhere on this street. You couldn't cross Archer, you couldn't cross Pine to the north. So the baseball stadium is actually where the third base area is. That's where Dick Rowland used to live. So Dick Rowland was accused of assaulting Sarah Page, but what actually happened, Sarah Page told the police Dick Rowland did not assault her. So it was a security guard who worked in the building who said it happened. It wasn't actually her. So Dick Rowland was able to get out. The sheriff put him on a train and sent him to Kansas. Sarah Page also disappears and ends up in Kansas too. So more than likely those two knew each other. So the only public black restroom at the time was on the third floor of the drugstore. Everything is on the countertop. You actually could just pull in the back for a parking place. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the lemonade is in the back freezer, but the cups and everything is already right. Okay. Yeah, so Dick Rowland ends up leaving, but Sarah Page told the police that. So now you got a mob of white folks at the courthouse wanting to lynch Dick Rowland. J.B. Stratford takes a group of 160 armed black men from Greenwood, and they go down to the courthouse and try to get Dick Rowland out of jail. So neither group knows that Dick Rowland is gone. So they arguing over somebody who's not there. So they get into a fight. Guns did get shot, but no one got shot at that time. The Greenwood residents come back to Greenwood, and then the mobs follow them overnight. So that's how the massacre starts. But if you look at Tulsa's narrative about what happened, it don't make sense. If black people, 160 black people, all armed, go down to the courthouse and they run into 3,000 white men, and then they get into an argument and a fight, and then the black men decide that they're gonna come all the way back to Greenwood, and then the moment they got back home, they was like, you know what, I'm about to start tearing shit up. Like that don't make sense. That don't make sense. If they were gonna tear something up, they would have tore it up in Tulsa.
Yeah.
So 100% of the damage that took place during the massacre happened in Greenwood. So 100% of the damage that took place during the massacre happened in Greenwood. So if they wanted to tear something up, you mean to tell me I'm gonna wait till I get home and then say, man, I'm about to bust my window. And then the white folks followed them all the way into Greenwood to stop them from burning their own stuff? It's like, why would they care?
Already gas stuff.
Yeah, they